Really interesting round. I think we'll get into what the capital is needed for and what the challenge is with the technology. But let's start by introducing the audience to Fuse. What is the technology that you're working on, and why is yours different?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Great to be here today. So Fuse, we started Fuse as the mission to accelerate the world's transition to fusion energy while also safeguarding humankind. And we think that, the future of fusion is depending on building new generators at a rapid scale. And just last week we announced that we broke on the record in commercial fusion with neutron yield, which is essentially the useful byproduct of a fusion generator. And the way that we're different, essentially, there's two main points. First is we're commercializing technology that has been, decades, that has received decades of investment and billions of dollars by, the U.S. national labs and national security community, and we're commercializing it. And second, fusion generators are useful today to produce radiation that is used to safeguard things like electronics, materials. In the case of radiation events, it could be natural in outer space, or hostile, which means like human-made radiation. And so we have fusion generators that are operating today and that are servicing customers, and we're excited to continue building the path towards better generator that are more cost-effective and continue to increase the energy efficiency.
You have a 1 terawatt fusion driver, Titan, and then you have what you call the most efficient pulse neutron source, Phaeton, and now you have $100 million. What's the development arc for those technologies? Where are you focused right now?
Yeah, we're continuing to build more generators. I think the way, when you think about, fusion, there's been a lot of scientific progress, but now it's a race to commercialization. And the way you commercialize something like a fusion technology is you have to build a lot of generators. So we're continuing to use this capital to accelerate the rate of development and continue to build more generators faster and also more cost effectively. We're also, this round is helping commercialize some of the generators we've already built. So we're starting to host customers at our facilities that are essentially using those generators like Phaeton X and others to test how the electronics and other materials survive under those conditions. And actually just yesterday we got our license for a new generator in Albuquerque, New Mexico, actually where our new facility is, where we're starting to prepare to host customers as soon as next month.
I've also, JC, come across a lot of skepticism. Different timelines for when this becomes a mainstay at scale, 2030, beyond 2030. What's changed in your ability to move faster, or the attitude of this country to the technology, in recent months and years?
When you look at what's happened in the recent few years, so there's been, the U.S. has built amazing fusion infrastructure in the late 1990s and early 2000 at the end of the Cold War. And since then, it's been a few decades where we haven't really built new large-scale facilities. Meanwhile, in China, the race is, China is investing almost 2-to-1 when you factor in the purchase power. In China, 2-to-1 to the U.S. They're also graduating, on a factor of thousands more STEM PhDs than the United States. So the race is really hot with how fast China is building. They've got a lot of facilities. What's changed in the US now is there's commercial private companies like Fuse that are essentially building with Silicon Valley speed and culture, but while having really close ties and deep expertise from the national security community. And we believe that this industry needs more like power generators more than PowerPoints. There's a lot of companies out there with maybe billions of dollars and great plants and plans and PowerPoints, but we're actually building generators that work today, and we need to do more build out right now because that's really where the race is going. And you look at how much China is investing, it's quite daunting. But the only way that we win in the United States is when you look at commercial startups that can bring the cultures like Silicon Valley that can build fast. Yes. Is how we can get there.
Channeling your inner Alex Karp on the PowerPoint point. Let's talk about those expertise. Tell us a bit about your background, JC, and the team that you've put together.
Yeah, so I started the company in lieu of going to college about 7 years ago, but I've been doing research in fusion since a pretty young age. Well, we've gathered a team with expertise from some of the leading companies like SpaceX, Palantir, Tesla, as well as some other folks on the team that come from the top places and within the U.S. national security communities, whether it's the National Lab, the Department of War, or national security leaders across the United States. And we're continuing to add more leaders from companies that have actually built and shipped what people thought were impossible at the time. And as you think Fuse is trying in a way to become to the National Nuclear Security Administration what SpaceX has become to NASA, which is like a commercial provider of critical technology, and that requires a lot of skill in the private sector. So we've gathered an amazing team from some of the best companies who have commercialized technologies that were seen as almost impossibly hard before they were done.